they're kind of the team to beat, and you feel that if anyone's going to do it in the current shape they're in, it's going to be M80. They haven't really had to prove themselves yet. A very dominant 7-0 yesterday, a very close game against W7M on day one that, you know, to be fair to W7M, look like one of the best teams here as well. This is going to be a proper top-tier game of Siege.
I think it will be very good. I think both teams, I look at it maybe from the other perspective, I think both teams have got questions to answer yet. There's still a question mark for me over both of these teams. I look at M80, you know, you say, yeah, dominant 7-0 yesterday. It was against a team that got 8 kills throughout the entire game. Like, it wasn't a big test for them.
That's what I mean, is we haven't really seen much of them.
No, this is it. W7M did get the win against them. I look at Falcons, you know, they lost to Loud, but then were very dominant against Wildcard, who've just been really good against G2. So you kind of, you know, look at all the interplay of the different results, and there's a question mark for me over both teams. But what I do know is that there is no question on is that both of these teams can deliver absolute quality in the server, and I'm hoping that they both show up and do exactly that today, because like you say, it will be an absolute classic. We've got Monty, Demos gone. That might be slightly targeted at Shaiko there, the second one of those bans. And Azami and Mira will be our defensive bans made by BBS.
Double Architect bans coming out. I think on a map like this, where unless you've got really good attacking prowess as a team, you can get stuck here. The number of teams that I've seen struggle to basically get around on this map is absolutely crazy. I think taking away the Mira and the Azami here, not letting you knock that lockdown, for example, inside a piano, not letting you have the double Mira set up in storage up the top, all these little things like that should make things a bit more flowing for the attackers. Not that Falcons need tons of help on the attack, but it's definitely going to make things flow that little bit better.
M80 going to kick things off on defense. It's going to be reading to avoid that top floor, which very often is 50-50 at best for the defenders, so they're going to take it down to the mid floor instead. I would imagine we will likely see Kitchen following this, and then maybe even Mining, they might leave the top floor out completely.
Old school this as well, looking in towards that Aruni and Castle set up the pairing coming in, really demanding prone utility from the attackers. And I remarked on this a couple of days ago, of course, we had the reduction in the number of flashes from 3 down to 2 a while ago now. It does mean that with things like Jaeger and Wamai getting stronger, you might see more combos like this coming out that aim to try and lock you out of areas of the map. Now, this won't be the end of the world for the side of Falcons to get through. They can chew through these things. Of course, they can make use of the Roteros, they can make use of the many flashes they've got, drones to chew through those laser gates, but the Mute and the Mozzie pairing coming in, it's just all about slowing down Falcons. So I like how M80 are trying to grind this to a halt a little bit, and that's when they can take control of the round.
Yeah, 4 of M80 up on the top floor at the minute, so very much invested in that vertical defense and making sure that they keep hold of it for as long as possible. It's so many angles can be fired from up there to soften up the site. Very difficult to stay inside of there if you don't have that top floor control. Solotov is going to be mindful of red stairs, but ultimately will be looking to challenge in towards Piano. We're just going to see Kino drop himself away from Cigar Shop a little bit, and in fact drop himself back down onto that mid floor and look to maybe offer a bit more support towards site.
Yeah, keep it nice and slow so far for Falcons, as you'd expect. The Vatera that we remarked on getting rid of that castle wall, looking in towards Cigar. That was the key one for me, because it just means things should be a bit easier to move through. It's harder to see members of Falcons play around this part of the map, and Shaiko probably hung himself out here a little bit too long. He's been punished up on that new balk, taken offline, and leak it back, quick to follow too. We mentioned about them slowing the round down to them and taking control of it from there. M80 doing just that.
Yeah, they're doing really well. Falcons have barely got themselves inside the map. Solotov is the only one really that's in there and established. The others have died as they've tried to. Nitro goes out, going to do a lot of damage to Solotov. Doesn't quite find the kill, but effectively the damage is done, because now he has to be very cautious about any gunfights he takes. One bullet is going to do the job, so he needs to make sure if he's going into a fight, he's going to win it. Usus moves in to support on that top floor, just looking to make sure that everything's clear, which is. M80 have now dropped themselves away, nobody left up on that top floor, but at 5 versus 3, they're sitting pretty right now. That was a
I think you were trying to say sitting pretty, right? It's that double combo, yeah, it's a mess. I can completely gone with that one. Happens to me all the time too, don't worry. But they are, you're absolutely right. They've got the 2 kills they need. They've stepped back, playing as a team. You can see the crossfires they've got set up. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 players here hanging around the bottom of white, just waiting for anyone on Falcons to step forwards. Sure enough, they're thinking about it. But even they look a bit stuck, Tim. 20 seconds in, completely stalled out by this heavy intel denial set up. The Castle and the laser gates wasting time. A couple of picks that came through early on. They're very much out of time on this one, and no matter what they can try and do, I feel they're going to have to flourish something special here. They might get one kill for themselves, but Hot and Cold's on for a triple. Kino close out as well. M80 with a very, very confident round one.
Well, the desk had a discussion about Hot and Cold before coming in here and how as RGL he has really led from the front for this M80 team. Had a great tournament, putting up good numbers, and he certainly seems to be continuing in that trend. Not something that Falcons are going to want to see, because it'll be very difficult to control him if that continues on. 3 in the round, and very comfortable from M80 for the first one. I mean, it was their first choice side. We would expect that. You know, Falcons need to get themselves into this one. The main thing that Falcons need to do, it might sound a little bit silly, is get themselves in the map. Get in the map, get a little bit of control, give yourself something to work from.
Shots from Hot and Cold as well.
Yeah.
It's one thing worth noting, to be fair. It was touched on one of the co-streams yesterday. For Hot and Cold, like one of the IGLs that never really gets talked about as much as maybe you should be, because looking back over the last year or so, Wanted, of course, had a stellar finish at SI just gone. Won the major about a year ago, of course, in the C9 Beast Coast. There's been a lot of things over the last year that actually Hot and Cold has been very, very involved in, and maybe this time he is given his credit here. He's a hot IGL, one of the ones that we're seeing around the world, constantly putting up good results. And if M80 carry on the way they are, that combo of him with Fabian behind the wheel at the same time, it's proved to be a real terror of a team as the year goes by.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players, Hot and Cold, you've got to put in the bracket of you don't stick around at the top level for this long unless you've got what it takes.
I think it's because he's quite quiet as a person. You don't hear him. He's not a shouty kind of IGL. He's not that kind of guy normally. So maybe it's why he doesn't get spoken about as often as he should, but can't ignore his accolades.
You don't stick around for this long, you know, without continuously and consistently delivering. Gunnar is going to pick up Leakerfact, talking about consistency. M80, consistency of entry kills so far, and Leakerfact getting dropped in the very early round again. Not fantastic start for Falcons.
Getting absolutely slammed here, and it's not good to lose your heart breach early on. Yes, you still got Brede with the Selmas, of course, if required. And that means both of those Selmas, for at least 2 of the 3, need to go towards that hatch above their head. Not again ignoring Tim, that once more there's been a good response from M80 in terms of the lineup they've brought. We've got the Kai, we've got the Tubarao. Really good stuff to lock things down, slow the round down, and see Falcons just grind to a halt.
Let's not forget as well, Falcons weren't necessarily going to be playing M80 today. There was a situation where they could have been playing Team Secret, but Team Secret came out with the chicken card.
How was my chicken sound effect?
It was excellent. I thought there was a chicken in the room for a second. Just for a second.
Say that now until I start spouting wings and laying eggs. And you'll believe there actually is one here, Tim.
Not again, Des.
Come on, Tim, do your job.
Why not? 5 versus 4. M80 have got themselves a good advantage, and they're just looking to build on it now. But again, they're doing the same thing. They're controlling the game. They're getting the entry, and then they're dropping back. They're not giving Falcons those fights, not giving them the opportunity to get that manpower leveled up. And you can see, yep, they're getting pinged out, but they're already moving away. M80 are a step ahead. Gavene is a step ahead as he takes down users. 5 versus 3. And M80, they just look super cool, calm, and collected.
It comes back to what I was speaking about, just slowing the game down. Just grinding Falcons to a halt, not letting them make the kind of plays they do, because think about what we've often spoken about with them, and I'll talk about the operator again, Tim. You're sick to death of hearing it. Dockerby is this team's bread and butter. 3 players have got are in the top 3 most played attackers, and for good reason. They make a phone call, they move forward as a unit. Problem is, phone calls are good to a point when you're coming up against Mute and Mozzie setups, when you're being denied back by Goyo canisters, when you're having hatches held away from you for 2.5 minutes of a round. There's not an awful lot that you can do when that call actually goes off. M80 have just got this perfect balance at the minute of knowing how to play against Falcons, and I don't know, I don't really see a way how they get through this unless they can go off absolutely massive. But even here, look, there's 3 players all involved. 1 player dies, there's 2 players there swinging for a trade. Beautiful stuff.
M80 are just ticking so many boxes where Falcons are not right now in these first couple of rounds. Are M80 managing the rounds well? Yes. They're going in there, getting the entry, and then dripping away. They're choosing when to take the fights. Good stuff from them. Also, are M80 trading well? Yes. We've just seen it. Solotov picks up a kill, takes down Kino, but immediately there is a response there. He is brought into a bad situation in order to get the kill. Diffuser takes down Brede as well. Are they using the utility well? Yes! Hot and Cold gets a nitro kill to finish the round onto Shaiko. M80 are ticking a lot of boxes. Falcons they've started out sluggish here. They're not really in the fight. they need to get up to speed quickly because this one's going to run away from them, mark my words.
It's hurdle after hurdle after hurdle is the most important part, because even there, like, there was a lot to work through on the top floor. They got down to the second floor, and even at the end of the round, you saw it. They're stepping into the window and being shot from below. They hadn't even thought about kitchen all round. They've also got a player willing to swing from inside a fireplace to guarantee a kill onto this player. So it's just like, no matter what you do, there is always a response. There's always a C4 below. There's still a Goyo canister that's up exposed to the window. Hot and cold enough to move. He was just like, yeah, I'll just stand here and wait and pull the trigger when you tell me. It looks very pedestrian so far from Falcons. M80, they are making this so difficult for Falcons to work their way through. And I think after this round, you may well see a attack timeout coming in. Because Falcons look lost here on Cafe.
Yeah, they really do. Like I said, M80 just beating them in every department, essentially. I think one important thing here, it's not the absolute everything in the round, but Falcons need an entry kill. They need to get in here, get that first pick, give themselves a man advantage, and start the ball rolling for themselves, because so far it's been all M80 in the first minute of each round.
And let's not forget, coming into this, the top of your screen, Falcons have put up 6 bullets on this game. They lose this, they go down to 1 bullet. That's a horrible spot to go into with just 2 days left.
They were G2.
Yeah, how terrifying is that?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Horrible. And at the same time, as you can see, M80 have only put up once. The max then go up to his 9 here. Max they can drop down to his 7 if they lose. Wait for a spicy tomorrow, that's for sure, though.
This is going to be spicy. Twitchstrom will get some value out of it before being taken out. Just manages to pop one of those Goyo canisters. This is at least a little bit better from Falcons in respect that they haven't lost anybody inside the first 40 seconds. Now it's a case of go and get that entry kill. Go and give yourself that best foot forward into the round. They've done some good work. They've got some utility cleared out. They've got that breach over to give access into bottom white stairs, and they can start working to maneuver these M80 players, but Kino is going to be in a critical position in this round. He's the one playing off over in VIP. We'll keep an eye on him, but if Falcons don't clear him, going to be big trouble.
It's the same story, isn't it, though, right? Even with extra roam clear on the go with the Jackal, with the Dockerby, they're really trying to say, cool, let's deal with these fringe elements that are causing us a lot of bother. Let's get those players offline. But even here, halfway into the round, they haven't managed to find a single one. And they've gone through one of their phone calls. All Jackal tracks still in back pocket. Next phone call about to become available. M80 can, again, continue to give them absolutely nothing to work with.
Yeah, Falcons doing some work up above now. Users with the ram, and just able to think about starting to open up. I think there you go. He's just going to drop that boogie drone down, but being dealt with again. Impact nades. M80 using utility well, ticking a box.
And still got the echoes to play behind. You've got Goyo canisters, 3 smokes. They've got so much stolen. Tim, given we're coming down to the last 60 seconds, this is where that big utility starts to become really serious. Shaiko at the very least finding 1. First smoke out now, trying to isolate fights. They've done just that. Leaking back's having a torrid time. Who isn't, though? It's Shaiko. Onto a second in the round as Hot and Cold falls. Uses into another. And for the first time, it feels like Falcons may have a round cooking here, Tim, unless Gunner's got something to say about it.
Much better from them. They've found a couple of kills, and they've been able to get themselves rolling. Like I said, get that entry. Shaiko goes in and does it, and then they start falling one after another. Gunner manages to find Shaiko, but the damage is likely already done. 3-Day steps in, manages to get the trade. Falcons get their first round, and that needs to steady the ship for them. Get them into this one and start a chain reaction.
Almost played it slower themselves, their Falcons. Slowed things down, didn't try and get an enforced control of areas of the map that they didn't necessarily have access to. Like, nothing really happened around the site itself outside of the ceiling being opened up. Even that last kill, it was inside a bakery with a player still outside the building. Both teams almost kind of trying to slow down to a walk here and match each other as best they can. Falcons, it feels like, maybe have figured something out here, but it's the next 2 rounds for me that are really going to be the defining ones. Next couple of bans, it's the Falcon, the IQ team. I'm pretty sure a lot of that is going to lean towards wanting to make use of the Valkyrie, but of course the IQ and that being taken away, very much complementing each other as a ban.
Yeah, it shows how big a part of the game that obviously has been so far. You know, one team battling to try and use those cams, the other trying to make sure that they can't once and for all. Moving towards round 4, Falcons looking much better in round 3. Very quiet through the first 2 rounds, but they just had that spark of Shaiko getting that opening kill onto Diffuser, and it really did just ignite something under them for the rest of the round. M80 had a little bit of a flourish from Hot and Cold, managed to get involved, but it just wasn't enough ultimately. And like you say, Falcons not rattled. They've still took their time. They got into the positions they needed to be in, and they used what control they had well. So back to reading we go. Now that we move into round 4, we can start that side rotation again. And we're going to have, are we going to have as heavy a top floor presence? 4 members of M80 were up on that top floor last time around. This time, it's just 2.
It's much more mobile, I think, as a Rome 2. Gunner, particularly on the Vigil, is what I'm looking at. They've dropped away from playing the Aruni. They're no longer playing the Castle. Not wanting to keep themselves out around the map as long, but for those that are out there for now, they are also supported by the Mutant and the Mozzie. So again, slowing Falcons down, forcing them to a bit of a walking pace. That's why I like here, seeing that we've got the Ying on side from Yuzu. So I marked on this in an earlier game. It doesn't always have to be tossing those Candelas in towards the site. Sometimes it can be into rooms around the map if you're trying to clear your way through. Just to force players back, and that is what this is going to do. My main concern is that M80 give them a far few too many rooms to clear, and Falcons can't get through them.
Diffuser just lined up here looking for his opportunity. Obviously, we know that going out of the windows might not be the best idea anymore, but he was just looking to see if he could get that line of sight, if anybody would push far enough back to give him the opportunity, but they don't. The Yokai drones just flying around, trying to get a view on anybody right now. M80 are just looking for intel. They're just looking for any shred of information they can go on, because Falcons aren't giving them much. They're still playing things slowly, playing it methodically. We're going to have the Candelas going in. Nobody's going to follow that in. It's always a little bit of a concern for me, is that one. I think if you're going to expend that utility, I always ask, what are you getting for it? What have you traded that utility for? And in this case, not very much.
So trying to force players back is the main thing they're after here. This is still, don't forget, a big focus on top floor. They've gone through nearly all the Candelas. They've had a call come out. The second one's about to come out too. If they didn't get away with this and stay alive, it would have been crucial. However, they did not. And now in comes the Dokumi from the backside too, trying to catch the third player, but has kept himself alive and escaped. Really good push from Falcons again. It's very measured and very slow. Gaveni, though, getting one back on the other side. Not bad for M80, but Falcons are the ones with the numbers advantage.
No, just removing that site presence that Likafak had managed to gain. Gunner needs to be careful. He's going to run into the line of sight of Shaiko. M80 absolutely no idea that Shaiko had been able to wander in there. 4 versus 2 now. 50 seconds left to go. Top floor control. Falcons have everything they need to win this round.
Except information, Tim. They don't know where these last couple of players are, and they could really cause a bit of bother. Gaveni getting rid of one, knows there's a second outside, and Fireplace lines up, hot and cold into another. Tim, at this point, they could be giving it away if they're not too careful.
Hot and Cold just opening himself a line of sight, gives away his position in doing so. We see the challenge coming in from Solotov, but he doesn't fancy the angle, just dips himself away a little bit deeper back towards Red Stairs. 20 seconds left to go, and Falcons from a 4v2 are now in a position of having to rush, having to get themselves inside a sight, having to do something, anything, but they can do nothing as M80 just cut them down one after another. Hot and Cold and Gaveni have given them an absolute masterclass in the 2v4. Solotov, he doesn't have the diffuser. He can't find the last man. M80 played that beautifully.
It's almost like we said it just before that play began, Tim. They had everything except for information. And what I love about M80 is they didn't dig in deep there and go, oh, we'll play together on White Stairs and we'll hope for the best and just hold here. No, both going off separately. One in towards utility to challenge on towards Snow Door. The other one, as you saw, rowing in towards train and picking up 2 kills out there. Beautifully played, man down situation. Falcons will be kicking themselves for not being able to convert that, but they just had nothing to go off of.
Beautiful free. Hot and Cold played that. Both of them did, to be fair. Hot and Cold and Gaveni played that absolutely beautifully. There was no panic in them. Hot and Cold just super calm inside of dining. Knows that Shaiko is going to give him the opportunity, and he does. And it's just the way they read Falcons like a book, knowing exactly where they were going to push and pressure from. 3-1 start for M80. They are looking good.
They're cooking, Tim. They're looking real.
They really are.
It's again why I was excited coming into this game to see the potential both the got. Really feels like we hadn't had the chance to see the best of both, and at least that's how it stands now for Falcons. I don't think we're going to get to see that best just yet today. Of course, there's always a second half to a game of Siege. Could be phenomenal on the defense for all that we know, but for now, what matters most is M80 look hot.
I think NA have looked really good at this tournament.
They have. They had a great day yesterday overall.
EU are pretty much down at the bottom of the pile nearly when it comes to performances that we've seen so far. NA, you've got SSG, you've got M80, you've got Dark Zero, all playing extremely well. Cloud9 have managed to jump up to the top of the table.
Shopify Rebellion aren't even here. And also another top team from NA.
Indeed.
They could be very scary come the next event.
Very scary in terms of international competition at the minute. Wildcard as well, the performance we've just seen from them against GT.
Yeah, excellent. True, they look fantastic. Good time to be an NA fan, that is for sure.
I might be an NA fan.
Oh, really?
Might be.
Weird that. For your whole life or just now?
Just for a little bit.
First phone call coming out. Haven't really seen the success from those that we're used to seeing out of Falcons. And again, I think that's down to M80's game plan. They know how they use this operator, and they always have an answer. Solotov on the book, taken offline. They've still got the shield to play with, Tim, but losing that vertical destruction, that's a big deal. Yeah,
it is a big deal, especially when you're trying to attack onto the midfield.
No idea.
Sharko manages to pick up Gunner though, but Kino is there again. I've already said M80 great on the trade game, and they continue to do so. That's going to be the Flores gone as well. You've lost your vertical option in, but guess what? Those Rotero drones that could have done the same, they've just gone as well.
It's fantastic stuff. Just again, there's always another player there. We've remarked a few times that they've had 2 or 3 players gathered together to force a trade out when they lose the first man. They just seem ready for everything that comes their way. And Falcons, it feels maybe hard, fully expecting everything that's coming at them. Bit of a dance with death here. Users getting into a 1 versus 1. But now at least, I was going to say winning it out, but no. Gaveni's there for a kill. Leakifak at least is nearby for a trade, but I think you'll take the 1-for-1 there, Tim.
100%. The trade isn't really important there. You've taken the Blackbeard off the board. Now all they're left with is the Dokkaebi and the Hibana, and it's not really going to do them many favours. You know, yes, the call comes in, but given that they don't have the Blackbeard to chase people down, it makes it much more difficult to do anything with that information. It's, you know, the information is already redundant. The call has stopped. Players have moved. That's it. Done. All you've got to go on is what's in front of you and whether you can take those fights and win them. And right now, M80 are not losing many fights at all. They're doing exactly what they've done so far in this game pretty well, and that's managing the round, sitting back, forcing Falcons to go to them.
Now Leakifak knows there's one on white. I'm pretty sure that's Kino as well, who knows that he's been spotted. Doesn't need to overextend here. It's enough for him to just sit on these stairs and create a bit of pressure. Hoko Blast coming out as one steps in towards site. There's still 2 players to contend with. And there's also, I was going to say, a C4 from below. Maybe not required. This Diffuser finds 1. Diffuser finds 2. Falcons still left trying to find a way into this game.
You could see it in the movement of Bride and Leakifak at the end there. It was so diffy. There was just nothing they could do. Yeah, they know somebody's on white stairs. Yeah, they know somebody's in dining. Okay, go and do something about it. Because M80 are covering each other so well. They've got every angle. They've got crossfires established. And you just can't move through because, oh, you're getting stunned by a yokai drone. We've seen you. We know that you're coming. M80 looking electric right now. Falcons off the pace.
The fucking solo move, guys. Okay, we have to play together. The round we won, it was together. We said 3, 2, 1, go, and we did a 3, 2, 1, go, guys. So we have to continue to play this shit. Okay, if we are kick cam, guys, give the info. You are too dead. Give the info to the others, guys. Okay. Plus, please, chill the com and play basics, guys. Yeah. We have the info, 3, 2, 1. You want to do this? Yeah, 3, 2, 1, go. We do this, we push them. And we say, we have to push from everywhere, all together. So just, let's do it. Okay?
Allez les gars,
let's go, guys.
Let's go. Chico.
Woody.
Okay, guys, and don't be cheating or anything. When we win 1 round.
Fair enough. It's a weird time to call a timeout at the end of round 5 when you've got 1 to go. But that's how desperate it feels. I don't know if they're down 5-1. It's very unlikely they manage to call things back in the second half.
It's also worth reminding everybody at this point as well, with the new banning phase, there are new rules for the coaches speaking to the teams as well. And there is an opportunity at the halfway mark. When you go back into that banning phase, the coaches are allowed to speak. They're not allowed to do it on the 4th and 10th round bans, but at the beginning of the game and at the halfway mark bans, they are allowed to have a chat with the team. So, like you say, a little bit of a, you know, seems like a bit of an emergency, like rip the cord, we need to try and stop the rot here because it's becoming a big concern for them. But again, you know, it's kind of similar to what you were discussing earlier, Des, when a coach is having to interject and talk about basics. You know, when we call 3, 2, 1, we all have to go together. You know, surely that should already be there. You know, should that really need saying?
You'd assume not, but I know sometimes teams can just get a bit lost in their own
Get a
heads.
bit deep in it. I get it. I do get it.
With that for sure. I mean, the things we were referring to earlier on was Joker's fan out for PSG Talon, where it was like, yeah, these are rudimentary things you're now speaking about with Siege, and it's like, should you be at the event if you can't have a conversation about more advanced concept things that are really holding you back? Fair play, PSG Talon did play really well today, even though they've been eliminated now, and of course they're our first team going home.
Clearing the way.
It is what it is. You need to get this round on the board, though, otherwise that drop timeout was an absolute wash, and they won't be able to make use of it, of course, in the second. And I'm looking at M80's lineup to me. Again, it's all about denial. Looking in towards the Kai and the two Brow together, looking in towards the Mute and the Mozzie. It's trying to grind this round to a halt. So even with the 3-2-1 call, we all push at the same time. It's all well and good saying that, but if things are locked out or you haven't got any information about what you're pushing into, M80 can still pick up kills for free.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, maybe... I don't know, is it a lack of confidence? The kills aren't really flowing at the minute, so when that call comes, oh no, it's too difficult a challenge. I don't know. We will see whether Falcons are able to turn it around. This is their final attack. I'm sure they'll be happy to get at least a side switch and get onto defense. Nitro comes out, not going to find its mark. Halfway through the round, Falcons have got a number of players inside of the map. Solotov and Shaiko are in there. They can start working towards site, towards pressuring Piano, trying to gain a bit of ground, just tagging out that utility as well that's preventing them from moving forward.
That's what worries me a little bit, is they've had this phone call come in just now, and no one has moved. Nothing has happened off the back of that phone call coming out. So
what are you getting for your utility?
What is the point here? Because again, this is what this team is known for. They play off the back of the phone calls. It has always been their thing, yet nothing has really happened there. They're a little bit stuck by this wall on trying to get through. They've got the hard breach of Brede on side to chew through these if they need them, but that wall remains electrified. They can't force these players back to him.
Managing to work at White Stairs. Gaveni shuts down Shaiko. Leakerfat is going to drop himself away. They're aware of his position. Kino manages to pick up users. It's as easy as that for Diffuser 5v1 as it all falls apart for Falcons once again. They are staring down the barrel of a flawless round, and M80 convincingly taking this first half. And from M80's perspective, they are playing really nice Siege. It doesn't surprise me of a team with Fabian in charge of it. It is organised, it is structured. They are, again, performing in so many different areas.
The key thing there is there were 3 players all watching that single doorway where 2 players from Falcons tried to go into one at a time. You had Kino was actually inside a bathroom, Gaveni inside a storage, and Diffuser sat on lumber. It didn't matter what you tried to achieve there. Even if you got a kill, you were guaranteed to get traded out straight after. They're just ready for everything. It's almost like they know everything that Falcons are going to do before Falcons even think about doing it. And even with that tack timeout, they can rescue nothing. Not forgetting again, Tim, how many bullets they put up on this game. They will go down to 1 bullet if they lose this, and that's the way that this game seems to be going. They look lost as well as being very close to losing the game overall.
Sometimes, we always say it does, there's 2 halves to a game of Siege.
I don't know.
And sometimes we do see a significant shift of momentum at the half. I'm not expecting that just yet until Falcons prove me wrong and show me otherwise, because it's not just about momentum here, it's about, like you say, that confidence in each other, playing as a team, having trades, affecting each other's deaths, not pushing into 1v1, 1v2 fights all the time in bad positions. It's almost like Falcons aren't playing their, and we know they've got them, they're not playing their plan B, their plan C. It's like they're coming up against a problem and right, we're just going to have to push into it and we all die. Rather than switching it up and saying, right, well, what else are we going to do? What's plan B? What are we changing to?
This is the thing at this level as well, like half a second can be the difference, because they're playing to Falcons, they had the right idea, right? Brady on the window to try and get Kino, who's inside a bathroom. They had the swing around from Shaiko, hoping to catch Gavin inside a storage. They had a player coming up white to try and get rid of the Diffuser, but the timing was just all over the place, and it always ended up being a constant 3 versus 1 breaking out for the side of M80. Anyway, and we go for the second half, Tim, and we're starting things straight up on the top floor here as Falcons. I know you've got a bit of a love affair for this site.
Hit it.
I'm just worrying here for Falcons that you don't really give a whole lot for the other side to do. They haven't got to worry about clearing top floor to go and hit the first floor, or clearing the first floor to hit ground floor, things like that.
Are you worried I'm right, Des?
How do we play it?
Are you worried I'm right about the top floor?
Oh, we looked into a bunch of stats together, and I said I generally agree with you. I think most teams did look at it very favourably when the stats said you shouldn't be playing there. It was like 20% lower as win rate than all the other 3 sites.
Generally, and I'm talking talking over years, I don't know, I haven't checked recently for what the exact stat is at the minute, but talking over years, it is generally a 50-50 side for defenders, and there are sides.
I think it's less than that usually, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm being generous. Like you say, yeah, it quite often dips down to like maybe 45% for the defenders. There are other sites like Reading and Kitchen that will generally sit around the 60-65% mark. You know, they're just much better sites, generally speaking. But teams love it, you know, for whatever reason, teams do love this top floor site. But like you say, so I can get both sides of it. So, you know, from an attacking perspective, like you say, there's less to do. You don't have to clear loads of areas. You just need to be aware of anybody playing underneath, which Solotov is at the minute. But aside from that, you've got less to do. But from a defensive perspective, you also don't need to stretch yourself very far. You can lock yourself down. You've got bathroom, you've got your cocktail balcony, and that suits a team like Falcons. We know that Falcons aren't a heavy roam team. They like to turtle up, they like to lock things down, so it does suit a team like Falcons. It's not to say that they can't get it done, but just with the way M80 are playing at the minute, I don't know, I think they can cut through any defence that's going to be offered.
This will shock you, Tim, but over the last 180 days, it is the lowest defender win rate in sight in the game. On the map, 46%. If you're curious, the most defender-sided is Kitchen with 65%.
So it's usually at about 45% for top floor, and the others are generally at about 60-65.
So I worry here for Falcons, at least as far as the numbers go, but truthfully, you can watch how this game has gone and get the right idea. Smokes are down, Glaz is in come the Candelas at the same time. It's a good set-piece play coming out of the team, and they are going to absolutely slaughter Falcons here. Get rid of at least a couple, however, they do lose one in the process. Solotov biting back and taking down Gavin on his way through. Oh, look at that, Shaiko does what Shaiko does best! Picks up a 3, can't quite get the 4th, as Gunnar shuts him down. He's got 2 more to pick up all by himself. Leaky Fat below and Solotov up on the same floor. Gunnar's got to win this 1 versus 1, and then things get really interesting, but no! Solotov with the shutdown, and Shaiko has saved that round for his team.
And this just goes to show the sort of thing that you cannot legislate for when playing against Falcons or watching Falcons. I can come in with all the hard stats, Des, and I can tell you it's a 45% win round site, and you can look at it and say, yeah, you're right. But ultimately, you can't plan for something like that from Shaiko. What a beautiful 3K. Absolutely destroys them and just spins around on its head. And the thing is, this is a team that's full of players who can do that. And that's why Falcons, you know, are able to rescue and win many rounds that they shouldn't. In all honesty, M80 wins that probably against almost any other team at the tournament from that exact position. You know, M80 go on and win that. But what can you do? Shaiko just spins on 3, and that's the job done.
Shaiko has a Shaiko moment, absolutely pops the hell off.
Yeah.
Really well played, and it does keep his team going for now. Otherwise, they'd be staring down the barrel of a 6-1 scoreline, and that would not be pretty, given they've put 6 bullets up for this game. Now we go, though, to the more defender-sided site in this map, though, Tim. It's going to be down into that first floor inside a kitchen service.
5 seconds remaining.
Lots of work for M80 to do. I think we will see, as I said, Falcons are a team that don't tend to want to roam too heavily, but I think we will see a map presence from them here. If I'm looking, we've got Solotov up and around pillars, but they're quite well spread across the ground floor as well. So definitely some work for M80 to do, but that's going to begin with getting rid of Solotov. He's sort of playing up and down at the minute. He is back up on that second floor, so they need to make sure they're dealing with the Valkyrie, and then that's going to allow them to get in for any verticality they want. They've got Buck on side, so Gaveni will be looking to get some vertical options into sight, but could be a terrifying execute here. You've got the Sens and the Blitz. Imagine that utility going at you.
Yeah, pretty horrible at the best of times, and you've also got the switch going through and just like taking things away from you now that might help on the defense. Particularly those F-Nats are the things that M80 want to see taken away. If anything's going to impede them here, it's going to be those. And they step in looking to take those gunfights and you see nothing, that's when Falcons will find themselves shining brightest. So get rid of those first and foremost, and then worry about the rest that follows. Of course, Vault cameras also to be respected, and they are currently scattered around the map. But you're all right, Tim. Sense is the main one I'm keeping an eye on here. Hot and cold. Keys to the kingdom in his hands.
Opening up those lines of sight from Dining. Does see one underneath.
Oh,
does
beautiful.
he see the Nitro? Yes! Gaveni does! It looked for all our life like he was going to lose his, but somehow hits the shot onto the explosive. Almost expected that throw to come, and just gonna keep himself alive.
Beautiful stuff. Like you say, that's the moment that can turn around upside down as well. You lose out on the butt there, the vertical destruction diminishes. suddenly you're having a very different conversation, but for now they keep on going. They're in here. Tim, I love this. Completely cutting off this part of the map in its entirety, and it's been slammed inside a small bake. All the distraction that was going on through the main door has cost them here. Kino now down onto his backside, but 2 players on Falcons have fallen by the wayside. Full control to M80.
Solotov does manage to fight back, getting a big double diffuser onto Breeder. Can Falcons find that hero moment again? 2 versus 3, 50 seconds left to go, but Kino is down, so effectively 2 versus 2. Solotov with the 3rd, and that gives Falcons a nice advantage. They close out the round, and again, dig deep to get it done. They are starting to find their feet and look better on defense, Des.
Round by round, they're warming into it, Tim, but it's still that 2-round deficit they've got to close over at this point. M80, their attacks are looking good. It's just Falcons, when it counts most, are having a player step up and go big. It was Shaiko in the previous one, Solotov in this one.
Diffuser was a little bit late there, coming in through Wedding, and we were watching the perspective of the player behind Bakery, behind counter, and I was like, hello? Like, you're rushing the blitz in, the sense screens were out, but he could see, and I thought, he's going to swing and get 2 of you here, and then all of a sudden, Diffuser appears just a couple of seconds behind things, maybe, and managed to get his man, but it still wasn't enough for M80. Struggling now, they've got themselves on the attack. I mean, it's often the way here in Siege, you know. I can be critical of Falcons in the first half all day, but they're on the attack. They were struggling a little, but now they've got on the defense and they're able to play their game. They're certainly settling in a little bit, and I know M80 are really going to want to win this round, get themselves 6-4, and at least have a couple of opportunities to get this done.
Attackers are moving out to
Not forgetting as well, if they do need it, that timeout's available. Not that I think they'll need to lean on it, to be fair to them, because again, I think both of their attacks there have been really good. They've played them out really well. It's just come down to a couple of hero moments from Falcons. And I remember saying this about G2 back in the days of old. It was like, yeah, they're winning rounds, but if it comes down to a player netting a 3K or a 4K to get you over the line, it's probably not a sign of a round that you'll be able to win. Again, Lightning very, very rarely strikes twice at this level of play. So far for Falcons, they have found it twice. Will it strike a 3rd? I don't want to say they need it in this round, but M80 can pull themselves together and pull off another excellent attack then. My God, are they going to need it?
Benny doing some serious work there, just to ping out all the black eye cameras, destroy the ones that he can. Boogie Drone is going to be used to open up that hatch so that M80 can start pushing down from the rooftop.
Bit of an interesting one. You look at that and think, well, that's a waste of a boogie, isn't it, really? But there's nothing else on side to deal with it. Given it's the only hatch, they really need to chew their way through. They're probably thinking it's not worth investing any more than that. Now they're leaning towards making use of those other 2 boogies to get themselves all the vertical they need on this top floor. But that top floor is the key thing they've got to fight their way through. Solotov, for example, is dancing around inside a piano. You've got Breeder and Cocktail. Shaiko's up there as well. There's a few players, but Tim said, forget about it. We're going direct to site. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. They're inside a train and looking to get their way in towards Fireplace here. A C4 comes out but finds no one.
Yeah, getting majorly aggressive, pushing forward and taking ground. They now need to solidify what they've got, get themselves established, and then apply pressure to the players on site. But the problem that M80 might find they've got here is they haven't dealt with that top floor. You've still got users, you've still got Shaiko, you've still got Solotov up there. So it might not be plain sailing to just walk on into site and put the diffuser down.
Yeah, I think Solotov's going to be a real pain for them here because the hatch inside the piano is open. They can see when they try and make a push towards Fireplace and deal with it. They're going to have to try something a bit different, and Tim, that's exactly what they've done. They've pushed through and back out and gone in towards Red Corridor instead. Kino's the one sniffing around down here, as you saw his outline a second ago. Could be in a good spot here to bypass Solotov entirely and make some magic happen.
They know that they know the verticals are being worked above. They see it happening in front of them, and it just seems like a little bit of indecision might be catching them. Kino kind of back and forward at the minute, waiting for something else to happen, and it was for Solotov to be taken out, but ultimately Solotov's going to win that fight, takes him down. Gunner manages to find one on the reverse, but they've let Leakerfact slip the net. He steps up, takes down Diffuser. Advantage Falcons once again, 4 versus 2 as users picks up hot and cold, and right now M80 go from being able to win everything in front of them to struggling to buy a round as they continue to be cut down by a resurgent Falcons who take round 9.
That is a great round to watch back if you want to see why you need vertical control when attacking into a site. It's not even the fact that there were players necessarily there looking to challenge the vertical angles, but the constant threat of it from Falcons kept M80 having to figure out what to do next, and they looked very stuck when it came to hitting Red 90. Kino was sat there, not really sure where to go, and they started paying the price. But here we go, attack timeout.
now we abuse the fucking Azam emoji and stuff. I swear it's
we
gonna
have
even
Cade
harder.
as well. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure Matt's a great IGL and he's saying fantastic words right now. Here we go.
Guys, what mistakes we're doing now is just in our own heads. It's nothing about the strategy or the approach or the game plan. We know exactly how they're going to play and they're doing just what we predicted. It's on our heads that when we are playing fast, we slow down for some reason when we get to step one. And then when we're playing slow and we're doing something strategical like the 2 first rounds, then we take the step and then we speed up when we have man-power advantage. We need to calm ourselves down. 5 deep breaths every fucking round. And then listen to Matt. He called something fast last round. We didn't. Just relax, deep breaths. Again, this game doesn't matter to us. We get 1 point. We lose 1 point. Who gives a fuck? Just go out there and beat them.
Let's stop.
Come on,
playing,
guys.
Let's stop playing reserve.
Big balls.
Okay?
Come on.
Big balls. Big balls.
He's nothing else if not a motivator, isn't he, Fabio? Yes. And he's very right. As we said, like the attacks have looked good. They've just, bar that last round, admittedly, the last round, it was a cool idea, but then it all fell apart when they got into training. They were like, cool, what now? They had no idea where to go next. But the prior two, I thought they had good ideas. They just hit hero moments from Shaiko and Solotov, and you can't do much to plan for that. It happens, right? So I would agree with him. More of the same, but chill. Chill. You're in control. You're still in the lead for now. You've got 1 more round to go here before Falcons have entirely caught you up, and it feels like they're there for the taking.
Yeah, they don't need to force it. Like I said, you know, it's 1 bullet reloaded, win or lose. We move on to tomorrow. Just go out there and do what we've planned to do. The problem is, like you say, you're trying to legislate against players like Solotov, Shaiko, just having these huge moments. We've seen both of them do it, and they will continue to do it, and I think that creeps into your mindset sometimes as well. You know that the round can look won, but it just doesn't mean that it is. So moving on, we're going to be back up to that top floor again for Falcons now. I talked a lot of numbers, Des. 45% win rate, just below that for this top floor side. They've already won 1. They would certainly be defying the stats to win it a second time.
Like I said earlier on, right, it's the do you dare expect lightning to strike twice? It was Shaiko back in that round 7 that went nuclear with a big 3K on Lumber to solo win the round for his team, and M80 had the right idea. It's sort of what I was speaking about with Falcons back in the first half. They were in a good position. They had 3 players. They knew what they were trying to do. They were challenging White. They were challenging onto Pixel. They had Breeder on the window repel, trying to hit Backroom. Their timing was just slightly off, but it was the same story there that let Shaiko get the first kill, used the same ad to kill the second, and for the third player, switched over to his pistol to then collect the last. It was, I don't want to say easy for him, but with him, he only needs half a second to make a play like that happen, and they gave him that half a second. It's fine margins at this top level of play.
Gaveni getting the drone in there, just being cautious of the Mozzie Pest, of course, but he can get it into the spot that he wants regardless and start feeding that intel. There's another one ahead of them as well. Just want to start seeing them do something with this information. That's, I think, been a little bit of a slow process for M80 the last couple of rounds. You know, get that intel on a location, and then they're being pushed, they're being pressured, and you're doing something about it. They're moving in behind the Monty. My question is, are they aware of Solotov underneath? He played here with the Valkyrie last time around. The Valkyrie now, of course, was banned out before the start of this round, but he's down there with the Mozzie instead with the Nitro. They are going to avoid that damage, and now Solotov has lost his potential impact because all they have to do is monitor those stairs. Gaveni does find Shaiko, but it is a trade. They both go down 4 versus 4.
Not the end of the world. I mean, taking out the Azami and those recharging Keybers, of which I think only 1 or 2 would have been left anyway. Not the end of the world. It's more about hot and cold here on the Monty that I'm keeping my eye on, though. He's gotten towards this Pixel spot, and they've again got here and then stopped. There was a lot of gap. There was no one in bathroom, no one in storage. Lots of room they could have taken as a team, but they've looked a bit unsure of themselves, Tim, and look a bit stalled out. You've got Gunnar over on the east window at the same time here. Right idea, and they know that he's on the rappel. They see it all. Oh my word! Leakifak is out there, and he's found his man already. That's not something you're going to see an awful lot of, but he's got away with a freebie there, Tim. Solotov might fall elsewhere. It's down to a 2 versus 2. Kino and hot and cold against Yuzus and Leakifak.
Terrible timing there for M80, just trying to go to that window with the impact nade as Leakifak was on his way out. 2 versus 2. Is there an opportunity here for Hot and Cold to put this diffuser down? He's got users around him that needs to be dealt with. That's the big problem for him at the minute. We've got a little game of ring around the roses with the barback storage. Man, but users goes both ways. It's Leakifak who manages to pick up the second. It looked like it was users for both. But still, a great play from Falcons, and they've managed to hold on to that top floor site. And that's 4 rounds in a row now.
Maybe not in the cleanest fashion they would have liked, but a win is a win. Closing out the 2 versus 2 and bringing things all square. Falcons just showing they can dig deep when required and win out these crucial moments, whether it's a big multi-kill from one player or a great 2v2 being played out like that.
That moment, so unfortunate for Gunnar there. He just goes to look at that window and catches one right in the face from Leakefac's shotgun as he decides that he's going to go out and have a little look. You can see the energy really. I've said this about Falcons a couple of times over the last year. I've said it at this tournament. They, I think, sometimes really are an emotional, energy-based team. They're one of those teams, if somebody gets right on top of them, you kind of can see it having an impact in the server. They play worse and worse, and it can get a little bit quiet sometimes. But when they manage to have that spark and get that energy back up, you just know that they are absolutely lethal.
Lethal for sure. I think M80 now, you've had that timeout. Slow things down, calm it a little bit. That's failed. Can they now pick themselves back up without Fabian's intervention coming in to help them any further? Are leaning towards the Rower in this round, Tim. Not seen it brought along all that often, but of course we've heard a few teams at this event already say, oh yeah, you're going to see a lot of that operator getting picked up because it allows for some really, really nice set-piece plays that you can use. Of course, that means they're going to go for an all-in execute off the back of this. I don't really know, because knowing that we're attacking on the downstairs, I can't think of too many places where it's like a guaranteed lockout to mean you can get in towards site, for example.
No, I think that we're likely to see a panel on to, say, bottom red double door that goes into wedding, for example, just to give you a little bit of safety of trying to open this wall up the door that we've just seen there briefly on the Twitch door. Something like a Rara panel on that door enables you to open the wall with the ace that they've got on Gaveni, and then, there we go, that's exactly where they've played it, and it just allows them to force that counter player out of position. They're going to have to wait until it becomes active, and then the defender needs to get close enough to be able to shoot the target, which will open it up, but it's too late. Exactly as I said, they've got that wall open now, and it puts users in a sticky spot.
So the Vulcan campus has gone off, which will delay a little bit of time inside of there too. Trying to do what they can to hold on, but everything's been blown open now. Sure enough, that Rower has been opened up. Waiting for their go sign here. Sure enough, they step in. I don't think they expected users to get the cross that he has here, and he's got away with it. Unlucky with the Kiva. Being challenged here as well, not yet taken down. But my God, is he wasting a lot of time and hitting a delicious 2K. Hot and cold going. Gunnar finally in with the trade, but the numbers are with Falcons once again, Tim.
Users certainly serving up some delicious treats from the bakery counter for the Falcons fans. Absolutely decimating M80's attack. He would not be moved. 2 versus 3 then. It's Brede, Shako, Leakefac that now just need to hold on. They've got a minute left to go. They have a numbers advantage. They can just hold their positions. They've even got one above. This is going to be really tough for M80 from here. They know that there's one inside of court check. That much would have been pretty much presumed, but Falcons have given them a freebie. Shiko, he strays into the line of sight of Gunnar, 2v2.
You could look to plan here as well. They're just not too sure about that red double door and if they can get away with this. But now they've got the cover, Tim. They could make this happen as long as they're careful of red itself out towards Coat. He should be able to just stick this, though. This is looking good. They could recover this, Tim. And now that the fuse is down, everything turns on the other side. Brede had 2 smokes in pocket. That is... Oh, you can't let that happen, Tim. They've slipped up here. They've let M80 grab the bag here, and they might be able to run away with it in round 11.
You can just see at the minute Leakefac is kind of struggling. Which way does he go? Does he come to wedding? Does he push back into site? He's really not sure. Brede just trying to force them back and does. Beautiful use of the smokes to provide cover. Gets the shotgun shot, and now it's all up to Diffuser to hold on. He's got to go 1v2. He switches to the pistol. He gets one. Surely he can't do another. He can. Diffuser wins it out with a pistol. 1v2. Unreal from him.
After seeing Falcons have multi-kill after multi-kill, it was time for someone on their side to step up, and Diffuser did it when most required. What a round that's turned into.
That's got to be up there with the play of the day. We've had many big plays today, so I'm not saying it's necessarily the one, but it was certainly something special. Absolutely beautiful stuff. You just wouldn't put money on anybody with the pistol in that position, realistically. Diffuser had a great day yesterday, and he's come back and really done the business for his team there.
Oh, just magic.
Absolutely beautiful stuff.
I'll come back to it. Brady had 2 smokes in back pocket, man. If they even suspected the diffuser was going down, just toss a smoke and hope for the best. Bit of a slip.
Oh, it's an absolute robbery, is that right?
It is.
It's an absolute robbery from M80. It's brilliant.
Smashed and grabbed. Falcons have now got to win this round to send us through to overtime. Otherwise, they can say goodbye to 6 of those bullets in the chamber. They'll go down to 1. They'll be bottom of the table. It will not be pretty.
Well, they will come as far as, well, sorry, as close as they can to elimination without heading into yet another 1v1 today. We've already had 2 out of 2. It's not a possibility in this game, as I say, because Falcons have only reloaded 6 but have 7, so they will remain on 1 bullet no matter what happens. But it won't be pretty for them. Tomorrow's going to be a difficult day because, as I said about G2, the problem that you've got if you're going into tomorrow on a low bullet value in your reserve, you start having to take risks because you can't play a team, you know, Falcons can't afford to play G2, for example, because G2 only have 2 bullets, so that limits Falcons to only be able to reload 2. They need to go against somebody with more, a better team, so that they can reload more. They're putting themselves in a real bad position, and Diffuser doesn't make it any better for them. Continues the 2 at the end with 1 at the beginning, and all of a sudden Falcons, they are facing a loss and looking it right in the eyes.
Oh man, I mean, Leakafak as well being caught out for free. For free? Diffuser was just sat on the window, and it's a player at that caliber, you'd probably expect someone to be around there, maybe not that quick, but losing out on 1 gun so soon, it's a real stinger. Right idea from Gunnar, though. He's also lurking on the nook and has found a second without having to do seemingly anything, Tim. 2 of their players here have picked up freebies. It's a 5v3. They can play this as slow as they like. They've got Hot and Cold and the Monty. There is just no way they should be losing this round now.
Yeah, Falcons are really struggling for intel here. They just don't know what's going on, who is where. Like you say, that's 2 that have been caught out and killed with absolutely not even a hope of a response. They have no idea that their attacker is there. 5 versus 3, M80. They need to listen to what was said during that time out nowadays. They just need to play the game at the pace that they know that they should. Kino gets a double. This is all but over.
They've absolutely bottled it, Tim. They thought they had to make something happen with the jump outs, found absolutely nothing. And Brede, he can be that guy. He can be the GOAT, Tim, sometimes, but I don't think he is stopping a 1v5, including a Monty, from closing this out and taking 6 bullets away from Falcons. Sure enough, they close in style with a flawless round. M80 take the dub. Falcons career down to 1 point.
That tactical timeout really doing its job from Fabian there. There was a great 2v2 that ended as a 1v2 for Diffuser, and then a really solid final round. M80 just had that big blip in the middle. They started out so well, and then when they switched the halves, got onto attack, they just couldn't find their mojo there. But ultimately locking it out and looking impressive overall.
Completely agree. They dropped a bunch of rounds. It came out to hero plays from the other side. M80 for me on those attacks looked good. Fabian stepped in the few words of wisdom. Look, you're starting out slow, then you're going fast. You're starting out fast, and then you're going slow. Just stay consistent, chill. Even said this game doesn't mean anything to us. It's worth a single bullet. Don't sweat it. And Martin, they've still managed to find a win at the end, and that is what counts.
They stopped sweating it, and they got the win. And like you said, that is ultimately what counts. It's bullets in the reserve at the end of the day.
It does. Well, we'll go to a break. When we come back, the desk will break it down for you. See you in a few.
Yeah, that was a pretty tight game for M80, and you did the clutch of the match. What type of info did you have at that time?
Not much info. I was just winging it that they hopefully didn't have any info in sight, and they didn't. The Goyo looked very lost. The smoke looked lost, and I made sure it happen.
Cool. Cafe, it's a perm ban for M80, and you guys just played very well. But also, Falcons, you have a lot of games to analyze from them. It was such a smart move from M80.
Yeah, so the old Beast Coast core, we always loved Cafe. We beat them in Manchester on Cafe. And I was going like 2-10 or something, so I knew if I had a good game, this should be easy. And I'm just happy we got Cafe.
And the score was 5-1 for you. What the hell happened that you just kept losing and losing, you know? Tell me.
Yeah, it was rough. We lost like I think 3 or 4 rounds straight. Just small mistakes, missed drones, hero plays by them. Very lucky, honestly. It should have been way easier than it was, but we made it happen, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Also, Fabian told you to be just relax, be calm, and that worked, right?
Yeah, it definitely did. Fabian's a great coach. All of his adaptations have worked. His comms, like he just knows the game so well, and it makes the game so much easier.
Thank you. Being calm is the key to success, to winning a game, Milosh.
Damn. My loss, your loss?
Hi, my name is Milosh.
Can't wait for the. You want to host?
Welcome back. That was a great game from Team Falcons and M80. M80 almost lost it back there, but they were able to close it out. Huge 1 bullet for M80. Really well needed.
2 bullets.
2 bullets. Need more bullets.
You missed the spot. Oh, not too shabby. I will say, I thought you were gonna make a fun, make a little joke at my expense, but thankfully you did not. However, there were a few jokes being played at Falcons' expense in this game by M80.
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway, we were talking about whoever's going to start on that defense, the attacking is going to be the hardest one. And sure enough, Falcons were the one that started on that attacking half, and they couldn't find their success. They were struggling. But that was mainly due to the fact that M80 was doing a very good job at moving around the map and having that gameplay to back it up, and that teamwork, that they were constantly doubling up. They were constantly forcing Falcons to unwinnable gunfights, or just not in a situation where they could even trade. So really hats off to M80, and like Maria said, this was their permaban. They swapped it out, they got Fabian in, they pulled it out here, and I think this was a wonderful time to showcase what they can do on Cafe.
I mean, defense was the reason why M80 won, I have to agree. But at the same time, if we look at both teams' defenses, the way that M80 was playing was way more team-orientated. It felt like they were closing out rounds because they knew exactly what Falcons were going to do. They would either drop the diffuser in a very bad spot for Falcons to be able to plant, they dwindled the time down, whereas Falcons looked a little frustrated when it came to their defenses. They were trying to brute force their way through a lot of rounds. It didn't look like the communication was there. They were bringing it back, but still, the amount of rounds and diffuse plants that they were able to give up should not be happening from a team that we expect from
Falcons. At that caliber.
Yeah, exactly.
And M80 will be very happy with that victory. Now, let's get a quick update on Team Falcons' status. What is going on in the spot where they are down to 1 bullet? That will start off tomorrow with that 1 bullet. However, this is an extra rule that, again, we're going to repeat tomorrow, but there's an extra card that does get played automatically. One of the passives, which is if you start the day on 1 bullet and you survive until the end of it, you get an extra bullet to play around with in that final day. But it's looking like where if Falcons don't make a big play with an extended mag maybe tomorrow, they might just be out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's smart of them to try to set themselves up to activate that Survivor card, just because, yeah, they didn't risk their full amount of bullets, just enough to be able to activate it. But at the same time, you don't want to find yourself in that position where you would have had to. It would have been nice to be sitting pretty with a win, yeah.
Well, hearing how confident that Diffuse was in that interview, saying that they should have got that done faster, which I don't disagree, but I still want to say Falcons did do a good job on the defense. But I'm sure they're kicking themselves in the butt because this was an opportunity that I said, had they just put up a few more bullets, risked that, took that chance, they would have been walking away here far better than what they currently are. And again, only gaining 2 points from such a heavy-hitting matchup, that kind of stings for me. Like I said, I think they played a little too scared.
But it does put them in a position where they beat Falcons. They're slowly getting better and better as the tournament progresses. They'll be pretty comfortable regardless of who they play going into the next day.
Gentlemen, our blacklight detail for this penultimate matchup for day number 3. Who Well, what do you have? Is there a player? Is it a play?
It's a player. It's Diffuser. I think this is a clip that everyone is going to be talking about. It's his 1v2 clutch with a pistol. By the way, I don't know if he was out of ammo with his primary. That DMR is super strong. But again, Diffuser, we heard in the interview, did he have any information? Did he know where they were going to come from? Did they have information on him? He said he hoped not. Sure enough, they didn't. He said that Goyo looked confused, and he played it beautifully. He played it meticulously as well, peeking from one angle, taking out the Goyo, rotating back to the right side, engaging that 1v1 with that smoke. I mean, masterclass performance on Diffuser, and especially being such a young, gifted player like this, to have that mentality already and that high IQ plays, I mean, it's a recipe.
The fascinating part of that clutch was his positioning. As you see, he takes the first gunfight, slowly shifting. It doesn't matter if he gets the kill or not. He's focusing on each individual, putting his body in a position to where only one person can see him at a time. So he's never exposed to both people at once.
Well, even then, he started outside in Bakery and worked his way through the rotate hole and then got all the way back.
He made a play. They knew he was going to be in Bakery, so he made a play. He didn't know where he was. Worked out. Pistol, though, I'm assuming he had no ammo.
That's what I'm
It's rare that you have pistol plays that are really shown or having any sort of big impact on a round. Back in the day, before, this is for those that played back in our days, in year 1, year 2, you remember the pistol recoil. Before, it was completely overhauled. Yeah. If you were a pistol player, you actually had people where every region had specific pistol players where they were known for their skill in controlling the visual recoil of the pistols. And that's a long time ago, but it is still a skill that is worth having and maybe practice once you need it. If you're low on ammo, switching to your secondary is faster than reloading.
It is, and it kind of reminds me back to when Bert would always do that. Bert would always resort to his pistol, even though he had a full magazine ready to go in his primary. So like I said, I want to give the benefit of the doubt. He was out of ammo, and he just made something flashy.
Made a play.
Yeah, gentlemen, I mean, every single event, we look forward to the Grand Finals day because we get to hear from our game director, Joshua Mills. We have a Blackbeard that is literally part of the dev team, not just the dev team. The game director of Rainbow Six is literally Blackbeard. But we don't have to wait till Sunday to hear from him this time around because Maria actually caught up with him for a quick interview. Let's have a look.